We spent years tolerating the lie that Trae Young was some cold-blooded villain who owned New York, but all of that just came crumbling down recently when he tried to shade Jalen Brunson by tearing a Knicks jersey on stage. But the shirt literally clamped him up and left him looking embarrassed in music, front of millions of people. Now, the greatest legends in basketball history are finally lining up to say what we have all been thinking. And trust me, music, when you hear the toxic details Isaiah Thomas and Shaq just exposed about the reality of his tanked career, your jaw is going to hit the floor. Trae Young completely tanked his own legacy the second he went to New York and let a piece of clothing embarrass him. Everyone remembers when the Knicks won the championship and the entire city went absolutely insane. Jalen Brunson had massive murals painted all over Manhattan and the fans were treating him like an actual legend. So, I still do not know why Trae thought he had the authority to show up at the Javits Center acting like he still ran the place. He started by posting these corny Instagram stories on the ride over with Rey Mysterio's theme song blasting because he really thought he was about to pull off the ultimate villain move. He walked out on stage, the whole crowd instantly started booing the life out of him, and he smiled like he loved it before reaching into his bag to pull out a Brunson jersey. This was where he completely clowned himself because he tried to rip the jersey down the middle to look tough, and the thing did not even tear. The broadcast guy was yelling about him tearing it apart, but the actual video was just a grown man sweating and getting clamped by a standard Nike jersey for 30 straight seconds.
He's ripping it asunder.
Here's the problem.
Can't get through it.
You can't do it.
He can't do it.
He was slipping all over the place. His face got red as heck, and he was straight up losing a fight to a shirt in front of thousands of people who already hated his guts. He finally gave up, threw the perfectly fine jersey into the crowd, made a corny little heart sign, and walked off while the whole room laughed at his face. But music. Trust Twitter fans because they absolutely cooked the guy before he even made it back to his car. Everyone collectively realized that his whole reputation as a strong opponent against New Music York was built on that one playoff series where he beat Alfred Payton and Julius Randle a million years ago, and people were saying the only thing that got ripped was his music dignity. In fact, one person flat out called him a dork. And as if the embarrassment wasn't enough, Trae tried to do damage control later by tweeting that he was just trolling and that he was happy for his friends on the Knicks, but nobody bought that weak excuse. The reality was that Brunson's jersey had more championship DNA than Trae's entire career because he got traded mid-season, played 15 games for a trash Wizards team, and has 0 rings. The funniest part was the old head legends watching this social media stuff and feeling pure secondhand embarrassment. And look, rivalry, banter, trash talk, all of that is a necessary part of the sport. I mean, Larry Bird made a whole career out of being one of the greatest trash talkers ever. But there's a music difference. Anytime Bird talked, he backed it up with action and rings, but Trae was trying to come for Brunson and the Knicks, and he couldn't even rip a jersey. Do you see the difference? Oh, and speaking of Larry Bird probably wanted to throw up when he saw Trae Young fumbling with that shirt, and word got out that the Celtics legend did not hold back at all when he saw the clip. According to insiders on his team, Larry straight up said, "I used to tell my defenders exactly how I was going to score on them before I did it. I never had to rip up another man's clothes to prove I was better than him." If you have to try that hard to get a reaction out of New York, you have already lost, and that is coming from a guy who Michael Jordan called the greatest trash talker to ever live because he never needed a goofy gimmick to break a defender's soul. Think about the 1986 three-point contest when he walked into the locker room, looked right at Craig Hodges, Dale Ellis, and Trent Tucker, and just asked which one of them was coming in second place. Then he went out and won the entire tournament without even taking his warm-up jacket off. That is the exact type of real confidence Trae was desperately trying to fake. You also have to remember that Larry Bird spent a huge part of his career torturing New York right inside Madison Square Garden. The man once spent a whole game yelling directly at the Knicks head coach Hubie Brown, while dropping 35 points and pulling down 10 rebounds just to humiliate their whole bench. He did the same thing to Dennis Rodman after hitting 4 straight music buckets on him, turning around to scream at the Pistons coach Chuck Daly to put someone else on him before he scored 60 points. He even told the Dallas Mavericks bench the exact play he was about to run right before he did it and splashed the shot right in their faces. That is the difference between real trash talk and whatever Trae was doing at that fan event. Larry always backed up his mouth with championship rings, but Trae brought a shirt to a fight instead of actual receipts. But if you think what Bird said was wild, the next legend who reacted took things to a completely terrifying level. We are talking about a Hall of Famer who was so scary on the court that opposing players literally pretended they did not speak English just to get away from him. Kevin Garnett caught wind of that clip and immediately went ballistic on his podcast because he could not believe a grown NBA player was getting his ass handed to him by a jersey. He straight up said, "Are you kidding me right now? You are out here struggling with a jersey?" In my day, music, if you tried to disrespect a man's jersey like that, you had to back it up in the paint. This modern generation is completely lost. You look weak out there trying to fake an aura you do not possess anymore. This is coming from a guy who never needed a corporate fan convention or a staged marketing stunt to mentally destroy his opponents. KG spent 15 years barking on the floor while playing at an elite level, and he did it during actual games where it mattered. We are talking about the guy who made Steven Adams pretend he did not know how to speak English, just so KG would leave him alone. Music, he routinely crossed every single boundary line, like when he said Charlie Villanueva looked like he had cancer. Music, or the time he said something so crazy about Lala that Carmelo Anthony spent an hour waiting outside the Celtics team bus after the buzzer just to fight him. He even grabbed Henry Bill Walker straight by the throat once. So, KG isn't saying don't talk trash or come at your rivals. Just don't look stupid while doing it and be sure you can back it up. But you want to hear the funniest part of this entire disaster? Paul Pierce actually came out and completely clowned the man before he could even leave the building. In an ESPN interview with Stephen A. Smith, the Celtics legend caught wind of the viral clip and straight up said, "Man, I did this. I literally just did this. I stomped on a Brunson jersey in 2024 and told the whole internet they'd never win. Even Brunson's jersey is literally more powerful than Trae Young right now. And I don't even know how to say that without laughing." You know you completely tanked your reputation when a Hall of Famer who also hates the Knicks with every single bone can't even defend you. The irony here is just ridiculous because Pierce is the only person on earth who actually knows how hard that Brunson jersey curse hits. Back in May 2024, when Indiana knocked the Knicks out of the playoffs, Pierce filmed himself successfully stomping on a Brunson jersey and told the entire fanbase to get out of here. He even doubled down in April 2026 on the No Fouls Given podcast by claiming that we would see Jesus himself walking down Crenshaw before the Knicks ever won a championship.
We're gonna see Jesus walk down Crenshaw. Like, come on, the Knicks aren't winning nothing, bro.
He literally swore that he would be a dead man before New York won another championship. But the basketball karma completely shut him up on June 14, 2026, when Jalen Brunson went out and dropped 45 points to secure the championship, forcing Pierce to post a public apology to the entire city. And then just 1 month after, Trae tried to run the same script. The difference though is that Pierce actually had the physical capability to disrespect the jersey, while Trae got completely embarrassed. It is already bad enough that a Celtics legend is using you as a weekly punchline, but the story gets 10 times crazier when your own day ones decide you are too embarrassing to protect. Gilbert Arenas was literally Trae's biggest fan on the internet, but he just officially jumped ship after watching that jersey completely mess Trae up. Gil went on his show and said, "Brunson did not even have to defend himself. Man, I love Trae, but come on man." Music, and you know you are completely cooked when your main defender thinks you look pathetic. I mean, Gil used to go to war for this man in every single comment section. I can't be the only one that remembers when Gil said Team USA was embarrassing for leaving Trae off the team. The crazy part is that Gil actually knows exactly what it feels like to throw a superstar reputation straight into the garbage disposal overnight. People forget that he was literally Agent Zero getting insane buckets and dropping 30 music points a night when he was at his peak. Then that locker room gun situation happened in 2010, and he completely ruined his own career because he only played 73 games in his last 4 years combined and never even sniffed a finals before he washed out of the league. Gil knows what it is like to have all the talent in the world and just flush your own prime down the toilet. So, he is looking at Trae right now and seeing his younger self ruin his own name over corny PR stunts instead of just hooping. The crazy part is that this disaster just started a massive chain reaction that goes way past people laughing at him on TikTok because Charles Barkley did not even wait for the cameras to start rolling before he started throwing shots at Trae Young. Chuck went live on a sports radio segment and straight up said, "This is just plain embarrassing for the kid." Jalen Brunson is a first-team All-NBA player who has the entire city of New York on his back, and Trae Young is out here fighting shirts. You are on the Wizards now, man. Focus on winning a regular season game before you try to start a fight with the Kings of New York. You know you have completely hit rock bottom when Chuck is out here lecturing you about your lack of situational awareness. The irony is wild because Chuck actually knows the exact feeling of running your mouth without a ring to back it up. He knows what it looks like to get traded away and realize your individual numbers do not mean a single thing if your team is constantly losing. But somehow, music, Trae is displaying all this goofy clown behavior while stuck on a garbage Wizards team that is nowhere near the postseason picture. The man literally just pocketed a $212 million contract, music, after a season where his body completely fell apart and he only played 15 total games. He really thought he had the authority to spark a classic New York rivalry while sitting at the bottom of the standings when Brunson is actively running the city. However, you won't believe what came out next because this failure caught the eye of a 6-time champion who holds the ultimate trump card in basketball history. And he used this exact moment to expose the biggest flaw in Trae's career. Scottie Pippen saw that clip of Trae fumbling the fabric and immediately decided to completely bury the guy. According to the insiders on Pippen's team, the Chicago Bulls legend went on a huge rant and his exact words were, "It is very easy to talk big and try to tear jerseys when you do not have to play a single possession of real defense on the other end." Jalen Brunson earns his respect by outworking every person on the floor. Trae is just looking for attention because his game isn't making the front pages anymore. You already know Pippen was going to take it personally because this is a man who spent decades being bitter about getting called Robin, music, and feeling minimized next to Michael Jordan. Pippen actually knows what real disrespect feels like because he was stuck on a terrible contract while delivering back-to-back three-peats. The funny twist here is that Trae is the exact opposite of Scottie. Pippen was underpaid for delivering actual rings while Trae is incredibly overvalued with 0 rings and a trade value that scouts are comparing to CJ McCollum. Yeah, it's that bad. Trae is securing massive bags for empty promises while Pippen was getting pennies for actual dominance. But here is the craziest part of the whole situation because the single biggest villain in Eastern Conference history, the exact man Pippen explicitly hated more than anyone else on earth, just stepped up to completely expose Trae for playing a fake character. Isaiah Thomas caught wind of this and decided to completely eviscerate Trae Young because he actually knows what it means to be a real villain. The Pistons legend straight up said, "Trae is treating the game like a social media TikTok trend. If you cannot even tear through a standard jersey to get at your rival, you would not have lasted a single second against the physical defense of our era." Let that reality check sink in for a minute. This is coming from the godfather of the Detroit Bad Boys, the guy who literally modeled his team's entire identity after a line from Scarface. You cannot just fake that villain aura at a corporate fan convention. The crazy thing is, Isaiah was out here rocking the same 6 feet 1 inch frame as Trae, but he was winning back-to-back championships and locking up a finals MVP through pure physical violence and an iron will. Isaiah is the one guy on earth who fully understands the permanent career-ruining cost of acting out on camera. Everyone knows the story about him walking off the court in 1991 without shaking hands with the Bulls. And he still talks today about how that single petty decision cost him a spot on the legendary Dream Team and completely ruined his reputation for decades.
Looking back in terms of what has happened, had I had a chance to do it all over again, we should have took the higher road.
So, he is watching Trae play 15 games for a poor Wizards team, fail to rip a basic shirt, and then hop on Twitter to claim he was just trolling. Real villains are terrifying because they will literally break you in half on a defensive possession. Not all of that corny stuff Trae was doing, honestly. Having the meanest small guard in NBA history call you soft is a total disaster. But it gets so much worse because Shaquille O'Neal decided to turn an episode of Inside the NBA into a certified Comedy Central roast all because of Trae. Shaq did not even care about the analytics of the Wizards roster. He just leaned right into the microphone on national television and yelled, "If you are going to act like a tough guy in New York, you better actually be tough. You cannot go out there trying to look like Hulk Hogan and get locked up by a piece of fabric." The comedy here is just elite entertainment because Trae weighs, what, maybe 160 pounds? But guess what? Draymond Green also reacted to this and he is probably throwing a party right now because he literally called his shot and warned Trae Young about this trap years ago. Back in January 2023, Draymond sat down with Taylor Rooks on Bleacher Report and completely laid out the future, telling everyone that Trae had falsely convinced himself that he needed to play this ultimate villain role, but it was entirely the wrong move because being a league villain is not fun at all.
And I personally think Trae has in his mind he's taken on this villain role, and he's bought into it and he has dove headfirst in.
Trae immediately got defensive and hopped on his Instagram stories to say he respectfully disagreed with how Draymond thought he was viewing his own situation. But fast forward 3 years later and then he does this proving Draymond was right from the start. The biggest thing people forget is that Draymond actually has 4 championship rings to back up everything he says. Sure, Draymond's entire villain arc is completely messy. From his flagrant 2 suspension in the 2016 finals that literally cost the Warriors a championship to punching Jordan Poole straight in the face during a closed practice and even getting slapped with an indefinite suspension during the 2024 season. But every single one of those unhinged moments happened during intense competition while he was actively trying to win basketball games, not at some corporate fan meet and greet. You really have to ask yourself if Draymond was right from the beginning, because if Trae had just ignored the social media noise and focused on his basketball development instead of forcing a fake persona, would the Hawks have even traded him to the Wizards in the first place? Who knows? He might actually have gotten a ring by now instead of being a meme for fans on Twitter. Having an active 4-time champion completely validate your downfall is an absolute nightmare. But the narrative gets even more diabolical when a player like Reggie Miller steps in. Reggie Miller entering the conversation is the ultimate plot twist because he actually named Trae Young as his official successor back in 2021. Reggie openly told the media that Trae was built exactly like him, just 6 or 7 inches shorter, and that the kid possessed the perfect mental makeup to battle 20,000 screaming fans inside Madison Square Garden. But Reggie also dropped some wisdom that Trae completely ignored, explaining that true villain status is something that is naturally bestowed upon you by the crowd during high-stakes games, not a costume you just decide to put on at a marketing convention. In his exact words, there is a massive difference between being a legendary villain and just being an annoying distraction. When I gave the choke sign to the Garden, I was backing it up with winning buckets in the clutch. Trae is trying to copy my blueprint, but he forgot the most important part, which is actually winning the game. At this point, Trae Young's entire reputation is basically sitting in the garbage disposal. He wanted to be the ultimate villain of New York, but he couldn't even tear a basic piece of fabric. And now the entire Hall of Fame is officially calling him a total fraud. The real question is whether his legacy is permanently ruined or if there's something he can do to redeem himself. What do you think? Is that possible?